Thank you for coming back for another video. The good news is that I believe this lesson will be a lot less stressful than the ones before. We have covered some extremely difficult material in these lessons before. So if you're ready for a little break, now it's coming, I think. I think you'll find this much more comfortable than before. If you're following along in the textbook, I'm on page 162. And I am going to need a graph, so let me just go ahead and get that pasted in and have it ready to go. I think I'll just paste it over here. All right, so on page 162, I'm under using tables. So I want you to listen to this little story, and then we'll go from there. Several high school students have applied for a scholarship awarded by the local library. One measure of their effort in earning the scholarship includes the number of books they have read over the summer. One student decides to graph how many books she can read over the summer and finds that this is dependent on how many weeks she has free over the break. She then converts her graph to a table. Okay, so the first thing I want to notice is that word dependent. Now, do you remember hearing that from me before? A dependent variable is always graphed on which axis? The y. So in this case, it tells us that the dependent variable, it's dependent on how many weeks she has free. So the dependent variable is the number of books she's able to read. And I'm going to flip this around, hopefully. Please let me, yes, there we go. So the dependent variable is going to get graphed on the y-axis. The independent variable is going to get graphed on the x-axis, because this is the thing that the student can control. They didn't tell me her name, but she can control the number of weeks she wants to put in to the reading, how many weeks free. So this is going to be the independent variable. Now, for the purpose of this course, that is not incredibly important. But for those of you planning to go on to college, your professors are going to want you to know this. I am currently taking courses myself, and if I were to get these two things reversed, I would fail. It's that serious. So it's important that you know the proper way. So let's go ahead and make a graph frame. I'm going to just bring some lines in. There's the dependent variable. And let me try to get that straight. And then here's the independent variable. And for now, I'm just going to leave it like that. We'll put the numbers and all on there in just a second. If you're following along in the textbook, you also have this table. And even if you're not in the textbook, I want you to draw this with me. So on your scrap paper, let's leave some space. So draw yourself a pretty decent sized table. And let's put 2 rows, a third row, and then a midline. Okay, in the third row, I want you to write what's in the book. Number of weeks. Now, which variable is that? That's the independent variable. So let's put that right there. Independent. That's also the x value. Then the number of books that she read is the dependent variable. It depends on the number of weeks. So let's go ahead and put that in. And that is corresponding to the y-axis. And then let's draw in 3 more rows. And put in the values that were given. So we have 1, 2, 3 weeks. And we have 3, 6, 9 in the number of books. And our next task is to make a table to represent the line graphed. Now, are those are not going together, are they? Give me just a minute. No, those two are not related, so that's the next problem. Okay, so I want to do some graphing here. Now, along the x-axis, that is this information. Hang with me just a minute. Let's color code. Color is a wonderful tool, especially if you have a learning disability. Trust me, it helps. That is this axis. That is this information. And this is scaled consecutively. 1, 2, 3. We're just counting. So I'm going to say, okay, here is 1, here is 2, and here is 3. Now you notice I'm skipping a line. That's just to give my eyes a break. But those are the numbers of weeks. And then on the dependent axis, I'm going to make that yellow. That yellow is almost too pale, isn't it? But it'll work for what I need. That is this axis. And that is scaled by 3, 6, 9. Now the way I'm going to mark that, just to give my eye a break, is to go one at a time. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can do it however you want to. That is your decision as the grapher. You can do it however you want it done. Okay, let's do the actual plotting of the points. So at 1 week, she read 3 books. We could also say at 0 weeks, she had read no books because she had no time. At 2 weeks, she read 6 books. And at 3 weeks, she read 9 books. And look at that beautiful function that's starting to grow. Now, we can assume that time continued, or we could put a dot there at the end of the 3rd week and say that's all she did. We don't know that, so I'll just assume that it's continuous. And let's go ahead and calculate our slope. We're going to eyeball this one. So remember, slope is rise over run. So starting right here, I rise 3 and I run 1. I rise 3 and I run 1. I rise 3 and I run 1. So you can see that slope building in there. I'm getting a phone call on my cell. It's spam. Sorry. If you heard that buzzing, that's what that was. So there's that lovely stair step that's climbing. The steps are exactly the same at each level. And we don't need a slope formula. We can do it right here. Slope is rise over run. You rise 3 and you run 1. So slope is positive 3. It's pretty steep. She's gaining ground very quickly. And that's all we have to do. We just did a graph, a table, and we're seeing the connection between those two. This is laying foundation for the functions course. Okay, let's try another one. This is the one that says make a table from a graph. So for the benefit of our folks who don't have a book, bear with me, I'm going to try to shrink this just a little bit, resizing it all together so it'll stay nice and graphed. And then let's put in, okay, I've lost my graph frame again. You would think after all this time Goober would know how to do this. Okay. That you just saw is what's coming. But you're laying the bricks right now. You lay the bricks and the wall will stand in a hurricane. All right, let's put that one right here. Or here, it doesn't matter. Okay, this time they give me a graph. So you can draw this with me if you have some graph paper. We're just going to lay down the coordinate plane. And I am just showing you that top quadrant. We'll talk about that in the functions class. But this is enough. Actually, no, it isn't. Sorry. I thought I could get by with that, but I'm going to need an actual grid. Because part of this is down in the negative area. So we have origin, and then we have -2, space, -4, and then we have 2 and 4, and 2 and 4, and then -2, -4. Now, I always just take a moment and figure out how my graph is scaled. This one is actually scaled just in consecutive order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, -2, -3, -4. But it is worth taking the time to do this. Just figure out how much each box represents. But I will take out the green numbers because that's not in the book. And here's what they have given us in the book. At -1, -4, there is a point. And I'm going to go ahead and label that point. It's back 1 and down 4. At 1, -2, there is a point. So it's over 1 and down 2. At 3, 0, there is a point. And then there is a line running through those points. In kindergarten, they taught us to connect the dots, and that's all we're doing here. They were setting you up for this course in kindergarten. Okay, they want us to make a table based on this graph. So I will come over here and build myself a pretty substantial table. I'm going to put a row here, a row here, a row here, and I need one more row. So you need a total of 6 rows. Then put that center line in there. And these are going to be our, actually I didn't need that last row, but that's okay. Let's start with the independent variable. That's x. And the dependent variable is y. And then let's put our points in there. We've already labeled those. That's another reason that it's good to get in the habit of doing that. So all you have to do is put them in the table. So 3, 0, 1, negative 2, negative 1, negative 4. And I'll tell you what, I see another point right here. So let's just go ahead, since I've drawn the row, and put this one in. It is the y-intercept. There is no movement on the y-axis. I'm doing it again. There's no movement on the x-axis, but the y is down 3. So it's touching the y line at 0, 3. So this is a very special point. There's baby B. Right there is baby B. So let me go ahead and put this one in here. 0, negative 3. I would like for them to be in order, but I didn't quite get it that way. Here's the x-intercept. That's when y is 0. That's where it's touching the x-axis. And this is the y-intercept when x is 0. This is the one we call baby B. So let's see if we can find slope. I can tell you it's positive slope. So let's see what the pattern is for slope. So we're rising 2, because remember each box is counting as 1, and we're running 2. We're rising 2, and we're running 2. We are rising 2, and we're running 2. Now that intercept is only half of a step. That's a little tricky right there. I probably shouldn't have drawn that in just yet. But here are the stair steps that we are following. So slope is rise 2, run 2. 2 into 2 is positive 1. Now, if I know slope and I know baby B, and we do, right there's baby B, I can use slope intercepts. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals slope times x plus b, which is negative 3. So y equals x minus 3. You have just written a function. That is the equation for that line in slope-intercept form. See, it's all building. We're building a wall with good solid bricks. Okay, I think I'm going to stop this video simply because it's getting long, and then I'll be back and we'll do a few more examples.